Robert Coco owns a beautiful bakery and patisserie in North Fitzroy, and he's going to be making one of his signature desserts.
Yes, we're making a baked apricot tart. Tastes great all year round. Traditionally, summertime is a fresh apricot season, but a lot of people do like to make a fruit compote out of their apricot, so you can use it any time of the year. So let's get cracking on.
Sure.
Let's bring 75% of our milk with sugar and vanilla to a boil. Justine, if you'd like to dissolve with the rest of the 25% of milk into the custard powder, if you can dissolve that.
Sure, so just slowly mix it in.
Well, the reason we use cold milk is to prevent the custard powder, or cornstarch if you're using cornstarch, to prevent it from forming lumps.
I've got a whisk here to get all the lumps out.
Now I'm going to mix the remaining sugar with the egg yolks. Give that a good vigorous whisk.
Now, this custard, we were talking about baked custard. There's two different types of the custard that you just have on the stovetop or one that you are going to bake. And this is much, much thicker because of the cornstarch in the custard powder, so it's going to hold nicely in the pastry shell.
That's right. I love to use this particular recipe for this tart. It does hold very well. Beautiful texture, holds the apricots. So we're going to use a strainer. We're going to pour that into the egg mixture.
I do have a strainer. So into the egg mixture. There we go. Okay.
I give that a slight mix. So now that the milk has come to a boil, Justine, would you like to pour that into the egg mixture while I whisk vigorously?
Look at this teamwork, Robert. How many staff members do you have now at your...
Well, we have over 30 staff between both venues.
Well-oiled machine.
I'd like to think so.
So that goes back on.
So I'm going to pour that back into the pot.
And on a medium heat, you don't want it to be too hot so it splits.
That's correct. So we do want to cook it slowly. Okay, so we're going to cook that for 5 minutes and then we're going to let it cool down.
Great. So this can come out of the fridge now. It's completely chilled. So wobbly and gelatinous. It's really, really thick after it's chilled.
That looks great. I'm going to use this piping bag to get the custard into the tart shell.
Such an easy and clean way to transport this. You could use a spoon though. It's completely fine.
So just use a spatula. Place the custard into a piping bag. So the reason I use a piping bag, Justine, is you get a nice even layer of custard.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the tart shell.
Speaking of tart shells, we've got a short crust tart shell here that's hasn't been baked, so it hasn't been blind baked. And we've got your recipe on our Everyday Gourmet website, so you can follow that. And this is great that you don't, usually you'd par bake this.
I bake it all at once at 175 degrees for 35 minutes.
And we'll still get a nice crisp crust for this?
That's correct. So you're actually eliminating that additional time of baking it twice.
Okay. And because that custard is so thick, it's not going to give us that soggy crust either. And now for the dressing. This is where it's all happening. We can actually see the whole tart come together. Rob, this is already looking so beautiful.
All we need to do now is bake it in the oven.
That's good. Our wonderful apricot tart has come out of the oven. It's chilled completely, and now Robert's just doing the final touches. Apricot jam makes it nice and glossy.
It does. It gives it a great sheen, enhances the flavour.
And you're quite generous with it too. You're not just doing a kind of a thin film. You're giving it a good lather.
Well, our short crust pastry has very little sugar in there, so I don't mind adding a little bit more apricot jam or sweetness to it. What is important, Justine, is make sure that you fill in all those gaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It really does. It transforms it. It was beautiful when it came out of the oven, but now it's so glossy. It's shining. It's saying, "Eat me."
So we're almost ready for the final touch. So I'm going to dust a little bit of icing sugar on the edge.
And we've got some pistachios here. Again, that green colour against the orange there. Perfect.
That's right. We're going to use some slivered pistachios. The contrast of colour between the golden apricot and some green pistachio.
This is one of those desserts that reminds me of the pastry shops in Paris with all those fruit tarts glistening There you go.
Well, this is a classical French
It is,
tart.
isn't it? Yeah.
And I love to eat it all year round. So we're just going to slide that off onto your serving platter.
I thought you were going to put the whole lot of those, but it's just a few little delicate pieces just for the colour, right?
That's right. So there we go, my baked custard and apricot tart.
Robert Coco, I am impressed. I love this tart. It looks gorgeous, and I know it's going to taste even better.
Thank you.